King Otto, the architect behind Greece's incredible Euro 2004 triumph, the mastermind behind their last reign as unofficial world champions. The man I need to beat, and specifically that last bit, the unofficial football world champions. It's like boxing, where the champion defends their title in every match. Avoid defeat, they keep the title. Lose, and a new champion is crowned. Greece last held that honour in 2008, a run that spanned 6 games. I've set out to better that in FM26. We need to beat the champion, then hold the title for 7 games or more. It's not gone well so far. We're 4 years in and had just one chance at the title, a Nations League match against France where we lost 1-0. There's no shame in that, but the title itself has bounced around, to Sweden, to Poland, to Angola, finally resting with Spain at the end of the 2030 World Cup. That's where we pick things up, and as always on this channel, we'll be doing it with data. I've kept it simple: XGP for goalkeepers, headers and tackles for centre-backs, XA for attacking midfielders, goals for strikers. And for fullbacks and deeper midfielders, it could be tackles, it could be XA, it could be progressive passes. It's a case of seeing what's available, rather than set boundaries, because I'm not exactly spoilt for choice. So let's talk about what does good look like. A few months back, I exported data from the top 5 leagues across multiple different saves to put together this guide linked below. It helps identify what kind of output would be considered bad, average, good, or elite. So for example, an elite defender would win around 70% of their headers, 80% of their tackles. It's relative, so if a defender reaches those boundaries in the Greek Super League, they are elite for the Greek Super League. If they were to make the jump up to say Serie A, you would expect regression. How much they are likely to regress is a difficult question to answer, and certainly not one we can answer whilst keeping everything in game. Instead, it's just something to be mindful of. The Greek Super League currently has an impressive reputation, similar to the Jupiler Pro and MLS. The other top leagues we have loaded are all excellent or above. The second tiers are all good or below, so there's kind of a 3-tiered hierarchy there. Let's take a look at our attacking midfield options before the last World Cup. I've sorted by XA, and ideally I'm looking at players with more than 2,000 minutes. Elijah Saslanidis and Okan Suleiman are the top dogs here, 0.3 XA and 0.3 goals, but both are playing in the Greek second tier. Subsequently, I value Konstantelios's and Karetsis' 0.2 XA more as it's gathered against higher quality opposition. All XAs are equal, but some XAs are more equal than others. We have mostly deployed a 4-4-2, slightly offset based on the players available. It's direct and counter-attacking, looking to get the ball into the box early. We distribute short to bait the opposition, but then look to go long. Out of possession, it's compact with a low block, narrow with trap outside and invite crosses, and aggressive with more often pressing and hard tackling. And we counter-press when the opportunity is there. This has done alright. We defend deep. 73% of our defensive actions are in our own defensive third, but we don't drop deep. Our defensive line height is pretty average. That results in a pretty impenetrable defense, a few shots faced, few goals conceded. The counter-attack is devastating. An average number of chances created, but a phenomenal conversion rate. Everything is great, so I'm going defensive. More defensive. Right now we're up to 16th in the world rankings. We've played all of the top 8 except Spain, and our record is rough. Played 11, won 2. One of those was on penalties. I want us to be even tougher to beat, so I'm switching to a back 5. Exactly the same team instructions, just more bodies defending the box. We have some issues at right back, so I'll probably invert them and have the width from a winger. Against weaker opposition, like in Euro qualifiers, we can return to a back 4 out of possession, by pushing the winger up front, the left back into midfield, and swinging a centre back over. Player instructions are virtually non-existent. Konstantelios likes to run with ball often, so when he plays as an advanced playmaker, I'll ask him to dribble more. And that's it. Usually the changes come via roles. Alexander Teta likes to move into channels, so he's a channel forward. Pavlidis likes to come deep for the ball, so he's a deep-lying forward. I've often argued that international football is tactically simpler because less time spent together. This might be too simple. First up, the Nations League, against Austria, Belgium and England. These are the players that started at least one game, with little tier indicators for standard of league as mentioned earlier. I'm happy with 3 of our centre-backs, but depth is an issue. Karkat-Salis' tackle win rate is underwhelming, and Mitoglu doesn't exactly set the world alight in League 2. Fullback is more problematic. We used 7 different players here, and Saliakis stopped getting first-team football, Muntez's form dropped. I want to focus in, however, on Marios Vrishos. 14 years at Levaidikos, and now Greece's starting left-back. He does one thing, but he does it well. Our midfielders seem to follow a pattern. Mid-levelers who do the defensive stuff. Top-levelers who create. That kind of extends to attacking midfielders too. Kouretsas creates against the very best. Konstantelius scores against the very middest. Then there's Christos Cholis. He's a really good player, but every other season Bruges stopped playing him. Up front it's familiar faces. Pavlidis is like a fine wine. Teta is having a down year but still one of our best options, and Yanidis' goal scoring can't be ignored. We start at Wembley against an England side we haven't lost to yet, and it's a run that's set to continue as Kouretsas puts us 2-0 up. Jude Bellingham responds almost immediately, a mere consolation. And it looks like getting better when Teta slots home a 3rd-minute penalty, only for Malik Fofana to equalise midway through the first half. We started quick against Austria too, Kouretsas finding the top corner, but once again we couldn't extend our lead and Chukwuemeka popped up with the equaliser. Just 1 win in our opening 3 games. Soon to be 4, and we have the Post to thank for avoiding defeat. Who would have thought that England would become our favourite opponents? We completed the double over them thanks to Vangelis Pavlidis. The group concludes at the Georgios Karaskakis against Austria, where Fanis Bakoulas thumped one in off the underside of the bar. A solid campaign, just 6 goals scored, but only 3 conceded. That means we top the group. Oh look, France. We don't have a good record against them, and Ekitike's 95th minute winner only made it worse. But there's a home leg still, and Christos Cholis brings the tie level in the 8th minute. Yet barely seconds into the second half, and that man Ekitike puts us back in our place. I can't see us ever beating France. Well, maybe we'll get lucky here or there, but over a 2-legged tie, not a chance. The Euro qualifiers sees us matched up against Belarus, Gibraltar and Montenegro. Very kind. Christos Mandis is our de facto starter. He should have competition from Jolikas, but he's dedicated his life to being a backup. Centre-back is becoming more of a problem. Kouliarakis is still great, Karkat-Salis is improving, and Kalogeropoulos has become a consistent high-level performer. He's a no-thrills kind of guy, but that works perfectly for us. Vagianidis is finally playing first-team football, so we've got some attacking impetus at right-back. We need it because we've lost creativity in defensive midfield. Our tackling numbers have improved here, and I'm particularly keen to see how Liatzikouras gets on. He was on my radar whilst playing in the Greek 2nd Division, but now he's made the step up and barely skipped a beat. New-gen Pagonis Bitsoris returns to the attacking midfield contingent, which can only be a boost, especially as our strikers have regressed a little in terms of goal output. Teta's no longer playing, which has opened the door for Stefanos Chimas. He's now at Wolfsburg after rotting away a while at Brighton, and the signs are encouraging. Belarus first. Last time we met, we scored 7. It was not as comfortable this time around. In fact, at half-time it was 0-0. But second-half goals from Pavlidis, Konstantelius and Noah Allen gave us the win. Next up, a trip to Podgorica, where Stefanos Tsimas scored with his right. Stefanos Tsimas scored with his head, and for the perfect hat-trick, Stefanos Tsimas scored with his left. We weren't quite done. Nectar Triantis added a fourth, and even 5'8" Konstantinos Kouretsis scored a header. If we can score 5 away against Montenegro, just how many can we score at home against Gibraltar? If you guessed more than 5, you'd be wrong. A little embarrassing, really. Another home game, the return fixture against Montenegro, and this time, after taking the lead, we were pegged back. But we have Stefanos Tsimas. He marked his first start for us with a hat-trick against this lot just 2 games ago. Is he good, or does he just hate Montenegrins? Another hat-trick wrapped up a 4-1 win. Now I should clarify, I am not accusing Tsimas of hating Montenegrins. Now that he scored against Belarus too, that is. Konstantelius added a second, Muzakitis made it 3 and sealed the win. We wrapped things up in Gibraltar, where Christos Cholis scored inside the opening minute. It was an odd game, like 2 games really, an 11-minute contest where we ran up the score, and a 79-minute kick around the park where we stopped trying. I'm going to claim it was deliberate and that I just didn't want to make them feel bad. Qualifying was never in doubt, arguably the easiest group we've had yet. There is something extremely satisfying that despite our defensive setup, we can still comfortably beat the teams we're expected to beat. Let's catch up on the unofficial world champions. Spain were the holders after the World Cup, but lost it to Italy after just 3 games. They'd then lose it to England in the Nations League quarter-finals second leg. Italy actually won the tie on penalties, but for 2-legged games, the single game result in 90 minutes is what matters. England would hold it for 11 games, handing it back to Spain in a friendly just before the Euros. And here is our squad for the Euros. No real surprises. Mandas, as mentioned earlier, is our starter. Karkatselis' header win rate has dropped a little, but he's still likely to partner Kalogeropoulos and Kouliarakis in defence. For obvious reasons, this unit does not have an MSN-style nickname. Tsapras and Vishos are starting wingbacks, both phenomenally progressive. Tsapras gets the nod over Vagianidis because he's more comfortable sitting inside. Alexandropoulos and Muzakitis to be the holding midfielders, both tackling well. Alexandropoulos offers goal scoring, Muzakitis progression. The front line isn't really as set. Bitsoris and Kouretsis offer a clear creator and goal scorer combination behind the striker. Cholis and Konstantelius would share those burdens a little more evenly. Tsimas, however, has won the starting spot up top. I like our starters, and I think we've got a chance of making the later rounds if we can keep them healthy. Our depth scares me though. We are yet to win the opening game of a major tournament, and against France, that's not going to change. But our next opponent is Wales, a far more winnable matchup. Stefanos Tsimas gave us an early lead. Alexandropoulos found the top corner, and with the game entering the final minute, Tsimas forced the save, Noah Allen tapped in a third. A draw against Austria would be enough to progress. Noah Allen won it for us anyway. Second place and comfortably through, where we'll play Finland. There might be the perception that we rely too much on crosses, but we can play pretty football too. We can pass through tight spaces in the middle. We can use fancy footwork to beat our man and prod home. And of course, we can score from crosses. An easy win. That gave us a Haaland-less Norway in the quarters, where a defensive error allowed Konstantelius to score the only goal of the game. Joint hosts Italy in the semi-finals, and any notion of home advantage dispelled when Cholis won, then converted a penalty. Of course, it wasn't going to be that easy, and Tresoldi pounced on Scalvini's knockdown, but, with just 10 minutes remaining, Kouliarakis turned like the striker he isn't and fired us into the final. What on earth? Our opponents are France. You know, that team we've played 5 times and not beaten yet. They are now the reigning unofficial world champions too, taking the crown from Turkey, who had beaten Spain earlier in the competition. Now earlier I said, in a one-off game, with a bit of luck, we could win. But that means we need to take our chances, and if we don't, France will punish us. Barkla put them 1-0 up before half-time, but with 15 minutes remaining, Kuretsis pulled us level. Just 5 minutes later, Kuretsis turned provider, Teta turning the game around, and not a single highlight followed. We are European champions. We are unofficial world champions. The spirit of King Otto lives on. I mean, he's not dead, but wow, I did not expect that. Of course, that means our challenge has just started. Part 1, we needed to win the unofficial world champions. Part 2, we need to hold it for at least 7 games. That includes the match that won the title, so we just need to avoid defeat in our next 6. Standing in our way is Denmark, England and Italy. Mandus is still our uncontested starter. Kouliarakis and Kalogeropoulos still our key centre-backs. Our depth is at its worst yet though. Players that can't head but can tackle. Players that can't tackle but can head. Stratos Farnas is in from the cold. Now 35, this is the first time he's been called up by me. No emerging new talent at fullback, a familiar bevy of decent but unspectacular options, and our midfield has barely changed over the years either. Mousakitis and Zafaris' tackling hasn't been great, but they're playing at a high level. Triantis is solid. Contouris is the surprise creative talent, albeit in the Erste Divisie. Behind the strikers, Bitsaurus' Iraklis were relegated, but he's still doing okay. I'm most intrigued, however, by Kyriakos Vasilikakis. The Houston Dynamo youngster is 5 foot tall and is both creative and a goalscorer. Up front, Teta is back at Panathinaikos and back to form. Chimas has also returned to Greece and doing well, whilst Kustlis has been solid. I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel confident. There are just too many areas of the squad that feel subpar, but we've made ourselves hard to beat, so we're always in with a chance. Once again, it's England first, now under the auspices of Graham Potter. They are better, and in the second half Morgan Rogers created space on the left, sent it in, only for Foden to head wide. We retain the title. Italy next, and they wanted revenge. Esposito struck the bar early, but we scrambled it away. With 18 minutes on the clock, Constantelius sent Teta racing through, and we had the lead. Truth be told, Italy didn't offer much, and in the second half, Catrus's shot deflected off Ahanor for the win. Denmark are the weakest team on paper, which might be why we scored inside the opening minute. But they're not bad. It took a Michaelis block to keep us ahead, and then, deep in injury time, Gustav Isaksen equalised. Draws are enough, and I would certainly take one in our final away game against Italy. Zafiris had other ideas though, with first forcing a save before getting it right the second time. Anything Donnarumma can do, Mandas can do better, but a cracking save. The Italian pressure though kept coming. Sandro Tonali took aim from distance, Scalvini pounced, 1-1. Back at the Georgios Karaskakis, back against our favourite big boys. Jimas opens the scoring against England before Christos Zafaris made it 2. England rallied late, and Cole Palmer put it on a plate for Nwaneri, but we held on. All that stands between us and completing this save is a home game against Denmark. Vicious drilled wide early on. Kuretsis' cross found 5 foot tall Vasilikakis, but he couldn't find the target. Denmark could still top the group, and in the 54th minute, they made sure they did. Motherfuckers. We still finished second in the group, which means we made the finals and could potentially win the title back. But guess what? It's France again. And guess who? Hugo Ekitike. A mountain to climb once again in the second leg, but in the dying minutes, Chimas rose, and headed wide. We have matched King Otto, European champions, unofficial world champions for 7 games, a far better win rate. But that's not what I set out to do. I also never set a timeline, so it's time to dust ourselves down and go again. See you then. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, please consider leaving a like. Your support means the world. And if you fancy some bonus content, including director's cuts and behind the scenes videos, you can join these wonderful folk currently adorning your screen by becoming a member or patron. Links, as always, in the description below.